Why off-the-plan properties are actually bad for you. So when Mona and I started our journey in year 2009 as first home buyers, we looked at several properties, and of course due to the government grants and benefits and stamp duty waivers, we really liked some off-the-plan properties. And
we were actually coached in by an agent how awesome these properties were, and obviously we were quite naive and we thought, they look nice, they look shiny, and they looked awesome. So we signed contracts for those properties. And two of those,
two contracts, and basically then, having spoken with so many people, we realized, there's reasons why people buy into those properties. We actually did not buy into those properties, and we'll get to those reasons as to why we don't like off-the-plan properties and why we think they're really high risk.
But there are a number of reasons why people may be attracted to these. Some of the common reasons that we hear people tell us are, there's no maintenance associated with these properties. I'll just set and forget. Even if the property is interstate, I don't need to worry about, if things go wrong. Well, actually things won't go wrong because it's brand new. I don't need to really get any building and pest inspection done because that property is really, it's brand new. It shouldn't have any problems. Another thing is that my financial advisor told me that I should buy an off-the-plan property. Another one that we commonly hear is, well, my accountant told me to save on tax, and for that reason I need to buy this off-the-plan property so I can claim depreciation expenses against my income, so I'll get all this tax back. Often there's government incentives that get released out there which may be associated with brand new properties, and it attracts people really too, because the government is funding part of the deposit or stamp duty concession. However, the reality is the government isn't. Ultimately, you will be the one paying the price. And is there anything else?
Well, there's also people think that, the salesperson is getting paid by the developer and it wouldn't cost me anything to buy this.
It's really free advice, right?
It's free advice. However, you need to realize the price already has that commission built into it when you're buying that property. So you might think it's free, but it's not actually. And you need to look at what your future aspirations are. If it's your home, family home, then maybe it's okay, and you don't want to invest further, maybe that's okay. But if you're looking to build wealth through property, then obviously you need to reconsider that strategy. So the risk that we wanted to shed light on was, you're paying a premium price for these properties. At any point in time, if you're considering a property, compare what the brand new properties are selling for in that area and what established properties are selling for.
So we did an analysis of that. We looked at two of the properties that we purchased and two of the properties that we let go of and we decided not to pursue at similar times, and we did the calculations. So what did we find?
We found that the properties we actually purchased grew 70 to 90% in the same time frame that these then off-the-plan properties grew 30%. So you can see the amount of equity growth in established properties, which enabled us to move on to further properties. And had we bought those brand new ones, we wouldn't be talking today, obviously.
Yeah. And you're paying more for the building when you're buying brand new. So with all the urbanization and the block sizes are becoming smaller and smaller, so you're paying more for the building than you are for the block of land. So if you've ever purchased a property, or if you haven't, you'd find that when you get a valuation report, often you'll find that with established properties that the land value is worth more than the building value, and that's how it should be. You need to pay more for the land because buildings depreciate in value, land appreciates in value.
Yep, and also you need to consider that there could be sunset clauses. Obviously the laws are changing now, but we have seen people purchase these properties, especially during the Sydney boom, where they've put $60,000 on a $600K purchase, and then the developer kept delaying the construction start date for the property. And what that means is they can actually effectively pull out of the contract and sell this property to someone else at a higher price just because they could not complete it in that same time frame. So it effectively, once those $60,000 are returned to the buyer, the same established properties they could have bought for the same money are worth maybe 100 grand more, and you have to save more deposit.
Oh,
for
and
those
your borrowing
properties.
capacity may no longer be there for that more
Yeah.
expensive property. And another key one that we find is the supply of these brand new properties. So often you'll find that, you know, in newer estates, there's houses, rows and rows and rows of cookie cutter houses, which pretty much look exactly the same. More often than not, they're on really small blocks of land. And when it comes to renting out that property, why would a tenant choose to rent your property when they can get a brand new property in a newer estate up the road? And when you come to selling it, how is your property different to all the other properties in the area? There's no uniqueness factor. So you'll be competing with all these properties, and in the event of a fire sale, because they all look the same and they're like, you know, there's loads and loads of them. So you will really be paying the price long term with that.
Another risk is the valuation risk. So the reason why we did not thankfully buy these two of the planned properties were because the banks just wouldn't value. And we run into this issue with clients often where they've registered a land, it's settling, being registered, titled shortly, and
Not even shortly. At times, we hear people say, "Well, it's titling or registering a year later or 2 years later." So you don't know what the valuation's going to be at that point in time.
Well, recently I had a client where we did 5 valuations, and only one out of that, all those 5 valuations worked for them. So they were effectively stuck with maybe 1 or 2 lenders, which happened to pick this value where the valuation stacked up. So they didn't have that much choice. And even like about 12 months ago, right, I've spoken with at least 4 or 5 buyers in Sydney who registered land with hope to build and flip property. You know, during the boom, everyone wants to flip properties and make money through it. They had to lose their 10% deposit. So it's a high risk.
Yeah, so it seems like a cool thing to do, but you need to really see, you don't know what the life circumstances would be like. A year later, 2 years later, you might decide to grow your family, or you might decide to change your job, or you might decide to take some time off. So
you might get made redundant, you might lose your job, or you could have health issues being a devil's advocate, right? Like, you don't know what's going to happen, and banks do not value these properties until within 3 months of settlement, and sometimes even closer to settlement, just because the property is not ready to be occupied.
So as you can see, there's a lot of risks. So there's a lot of downside compared to the upside. So sure you might find that deal of a lifetime one day with these sorts of properties. However, you really need to be mindful of what may happen between now and when the property is ready. There's lots of risks associated with it.
And just remember that if you're not paying them to find you a property and they're being remunerated by the developer, they're not working for you. Whoever's selling you this property, they're a sales person on the other side. And the key thing that we tell our clients and our audience generally is, look at your strategy, do your cash flows, what you're comfortable with.
Have a plan.
Have a plan. Work out a strategy, finance strategy.
Educate yourself and have a strategy. Don't get sold on off the plan properties. Don't sign on that dotted line until you know what you're getting into.
Just save yourself the misery, because you will be watching everyone else build portfolios.
I must add one thing. You know, most people's goal is to invest in property so they can achieve that financial freedom down the line. In my view, more often than not, people are putting their financial futures on the line by going down this path.
And it may be the easy way out, and property investing is hard work. However, just make sure you do something which serves you and your family, and not take shortcuts.
And if you've got any questions, feel free to reach out, and we look forward to speaking with you soon.